Hey, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, Adrian here from Digital Dojos. I've had the privilege and honor in my career as a content creator to take a look at and get the experience of checking out a lot of awesome tech products, a lot of new stuff, a lot of cutting edge stuff. The first product I ever reviewed on my first YouTube channel was an Intel X25M SSD that at the time was 60 gigs and cost $800 back in like 2008. Well, today I'm taking a look at a product that I am equally as excited to take a look at. And as someone who's seen a lot of tech, I will say this is a product category that I'm excited to see the future of it. And that is the Valve Steam Deck that just arrived today. So I'm going to be unboxing, going to be taking a look at some first impressions of this. For those of you unaware, the Valve Steam Deck is Valve or Steam's approach to the portable gaming device. Think of it like the Nintendo Switch meets a portable PC and just kind of a Nintendo Switch on steroids, essentially. Now, that being said, this handheld gaming device that is the Steam Deck, not to be confused with the Stream Deck, is not the first of its category. We've obviously seen handheld PCs out there going back many years to other projects like the Aya Neo, which have tried to take, portable Windows and put it on a device. And of course, in the most popular iteration of it, the Nintendo Switch being one of the most common handheld gaming devices known for its ease of use and portability, but at the same time, the equivalent in ability to just dock it and use it as a full-on console. Well, again, this Valve Steam Deck is going to be taking that to the next level, hopefully. It is a very early product. It's, definitely in its first stage, its first iteration, and if it's anything like Steam's other products, I think I have the Steam controller sitting back there. Hopefully, we're not going to see this get sunsetted. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look and dive right into the box. All right, let's dive right into it. So I have the overhead camera running here. Do a little dual camera action as I go ahead and cut open. Whoops. And try not to knock down my camera rig. Cut open the box here. So let's go ahead and open that up. And as you see here, you get some warning labels here showing about the plug, talking about how to use that. And then you have the layout here of the actual Steam Deck. So here we have the contents. Since I got the 256 gig model, I believe it comes with the carrying case, as you see here, and a couple of accessories. So here we have the standard power adapter that it came with. And I think that should just be pretty much all that's in that box. So I'll be honest, when this product came out, this is something that I initially saw it and was very, very interested in, the category that I was in as somebody who's just, a fan of technology as well as just gaming in general. Something I really wanted to kind of explore. I will say, while I use my Switch a lot when I initially got it, majority of the time I use my Switch in docking mode, and I'm not always like gaming on the go or portable. I prefer to kind of hunker down when I game. So we'll see how the Steam Deck gets its use. But here you have the standard power adapter. This is a USB-C adapter to AC outlet here. And here we have the actual, toss that aside, Steam Deck in its case. Your games are going places. We can go on with the unboxing. Just to take a quick look at the case, looks like you have a little carrying pouch here, something you can suspend this on. And has a little indent in the back here with a handle. Let's go ahead and open it up. And there we have it in all its glory, the Steam Deck. So let's go ahead and get the first feel of this, and this is definitely much more massive than the Switch, but given its plastic build and all that, very light, and doesn't feel like something that would be too much of a pain to carry around, like case or no case. Feels good in the hands. I will say, I think a lot of people in the initial reviews were saying the joystick position was something they were worried about, but honestly, I think it feels ergonomic in my hands, and you have access to the triggers on the back here. Of course, it does feel good. Feel the buttons out. Definitely more plasticky, but analogs feel good. And then you have those little track pads, which I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of on the Steam Deck controller. Here we have the Nintendo Switch up top, and then the Steam Deck on the bottom, just for kind of reference there. So even with the Joy-Cons there, you can see the screen size almost comparable. Obviously, the Steam Deck has a wider, or not just a wider screen, but a bigger screen. But you can see the sides of the Steam Deck definitely, outclass that of the Nintendo Switch, but it feels really good in hand, I will say. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and charge this up, and then we'll go ahead and get some first impressions of it. And here we have first boot after plugging into the charger. So we'll go through the initial setup. For those of you unaware, so the Steam Deck is essentially running a modified version of essentially the Linux. It's running their, I believe, Steam OS. However, it's a full-blown computer. You can take the hardware and do whatever you want with it. You can install different versions of Linux. You can install technically Windows on here and run a full-blown Windows OS off of this. There's a lot of crazy things you can do. I mean, even in the initial videos that I've seen, there's somebody who hooked up like full-blown desktop GPUs to this thing and got it to run. But furthermore, actually, I'm also excited for other mods like the emulation community. And since somebody who's really been kind of acquiring and kind of buying back the nostalgia that was my childhood consoles, being able to use this as kind of an all-in-one device and the convenience of having this on the go and being able to modify it. And the case, for those of you wondering, pretty simple, nothing special, nothing crazy. Just has a Steam Valve logo, or Steam Deck logo on it, and a little carrying case. And here we are, booted back into the Steam Deck. I just realized Steam Deck, Stream Deck, get it? Anyhow, let's go ahead and log in here. Choose my time again, Wi-Fi. Alrighty, and here we are back at the Steam Deck. Welcome screen. So let's go ahead and tap. Giving you a quick tour of the interface. Tells you to go ahead and tap through quick access buttons, power button, volume buttons or volume rockers, and then you have your micro SD card slot in the bottom right there. So with that, let's jump right in. So it is a touchscreen interface, so you can use that. I was using this earlier to type just to kind of test it out. Decently responsive, at least in just the initial tests. Like obviously, much more thorough tests have to be done, but I'm just kind of swiping through here, and I was doing that earlier on the keyboard. The touchscreen does have haptic feedback built in. Doesn't feel the greatest, to be honest, when the touchscreen haptic feedback, but nonetheless, again, we'll be testing that more. You have the, of course, analog sticks here, and then the touchpads, which do work I'm assuming work? Yeah. Okay, so I have to like physically touch it. I can't like swipe, but might be something I can turn on. But you can use it kind of like a directional pad, essentially, like up, down, left, right. And of course, you have the traditional D-pad in the top left there. And as you see here, the benefit is you have your entire Steam library just kind of at your disposal. So I can see all my games here, and I have the ability, if I can focus here, to navigate through my entire library of Steam games here and install whatever it is I want to install to the either local storage, or you can of course hook up external storage. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and download a couple of games just to do some initial tests. You can go navigate around the interface here. Like I said, it's a modified version of essentially your Steam library, but you can see here you have your library, store, friends, chat, media, all of that, and you can choose to power down essentially and boot into what's essentially the Steam OS in itself, if you like, which we'll take a look at later. All right, get some wide angle lens camera action going on here. I know that's not the best quality, but at least we can kind of showcase the screen here. I want to launch Hades because this is the first game I just downloaded, just to kind of see how it runs. You can see you have the option when launching a game to run it in DirectX, which is kind of like the default native, especially for like Windows, or you can run it on Vulkan, which is going to be built for obviously the Steam Deck. We're going to go ahead and go with the default here and just run it on DirectX here. Downloading some content right now. While it does that, let me just go ahead and show the store real quick. So you'll notice when you browse the store or your own library, you do kind of get, and they push obviously the games that are passing all of their compatibility checks via Steam and or the developers here. You can see this green check mark as you hover over games to know that it is compatible and essentially works on the deck for the most part. So again, kind of makes it easy at first glance. You can see a lot of the big titles out there are optimized already for the Steam Deck. I'm sure that's only going to grow over time. That being said, you can download or play other games in your library. However, not everything is going to be ideally compatible. So for example, you can see something like, oddly enough, Among Us, a game that's very popular, may have a compatibility rating of playable. And if you click on the details, what that means, certain things may not work. So entering some text requires manually invoking this on-screen keyboard, things of that nature. So not everything is going to be 100% compatible out of the box. I'm sure whatever packs we had enabled. The speakers surprisingly very good. And they're front facing, so they project the sound right at you, and it does sound like very forward, but definitely doable. So here we got our first boon. I'm just gonna pick something here. And here we go. I think games like this specifically are like perfect for this kind of form factor. Obviously, I mean, games like Hades, which were very popular, but titles like this obviously came out on things like the Nintendo Switch, were again very popular and just an ideal format because you could play them on the go. So no surprise here that they work, just as good on the Steam Deck in this kind of portable capacity. And because you can see here, handling it, just fine, graphics wise, all of that. Controls work fine. But again, this is like the best case scenario. We're playing a game that has been deemed as great on the deck or compatible, so to speak. All right, and with that, let's take a little moment to just kind of navigate the interface a bit more now that I've been poking around. So you have your quick access at the top there. You can jump right into your settings and get all the nitty-gritty information as far as like your general system settings, Wi-Fi, notifications. You can adjust all of those fine-tuned settings when it comes to things like audio, and you can hook up Bluetooth devices, controllers even to the Steam Deck. Because keep in mind, you can, of course, eventually dock this, and they're going to be having accessories in which, just like the Nintendo Switch, you can easily just hook this up to a monitor, or right now you can even just use a built-in USB-C cable at the top to hook up to a monitor. And with that, let's go ahead, and the Steam button on the left-hand side is going to take you to your quick menu for Steam, meaning you'll see things like your library, store, friends and chat, all the common things you're used to when it comes to Steam. On the right-hand side, you have a quick access menu for the actual just Steam Deck settings in itself, so like quick access to your friends, quick access to all the adjustable settings here, mics, audio, mic speakers, brightness, so on and so forth. And you can kind of see at lowest brightness what that looks like here. Very huge glare on the screen there. You can adjust things like the rumble, Steam haptics, all of that feedback here on the right hand. So just think of that as a quick access. And here we are in the desktop mode interface, so the Steam OS essentially. And again, it acts and interface wise, it's essentially just a computer at this point, a mouse, cursor, and running Linux at that, but very reminiscent of something like a Windows interface where you have a taskbar, start menu, you can access applications. You can see here it has some default apps built in, and the internet looks like, yeah, you have the full-on Firefox web browser, so I can go ahead and launch that. And this is definitely where the touchpad interface feels more intuitive for something like this, like you would on like a laptop trackpad. But here we are. This is a desktop browser, and I can use Firefox. I can click in here, and I can go to a website like Facebook, for example, and launch it here in the Firefox browser, because again, it's essentially just a mobile PC. You have other built-in apps and settings here that you can access via the desktop mode, so you can customize the interface and all of your user settings here, shortcuts. I mean, again, if you hook this up to a monitor and hooked up a mouse and keyboard, you can use this as a functioning PC and install apps, check your email, do basic document editing, and of course, switch back to play games in game mode. All right, so while everything downloads, I'm just kind of navigating the Steam interface here, and you can hear while I download some games in the background, that fan is whirring, I should say. Not sure if the mic will pick that up, but yeah, you can definitely hear that, and it exhausts all of that air from the top here in this vent. You can also kind of obviously feel that build up in the back here. I don't have like a thermal cam to quite show that, but I'm assuming most people, most of the time, your hands are going to sit here naturally anyway. Like as you're using the Steam Deck, you're not really going to cover this back vent, or like maybe unless you have like, I don't know, massive hands, you might hold it like that. But for me, at least, feels good in the hands just like this, in the natural way you'd probably hold it. All right, so what I want to quickly test here is I have the Steam Deck, and I have a, essentially this is just a Anchor USB-C to HDMI, and that is plugged directly into this Dell 4K monitor, one of my monitors here in the triple monitor setup. So in theory, with this setup, I should be able to power on the Steam Deck here, and then get out of here, and just connect it to the top here. And I believe it should go ahead and export here to, yeah, and there it is. Just like a computer, essentially. Interface is stuttering for a second, but here we are. We're playing Elden Ring in this case. Now I'm assuming this is like downscaled, obviously, because this is a 4K monitor, but for all intents and purposes, I'm playing and I'm using up. Now that might, there you go. Using the controller in this case on the Steam Deck, so I'm using the built-in controls on the handheld while playing on the monitor. And as you can see here, it's working just fine. Now, of course, you can hook up something like for example, Steam controller or third-party Bluetooth controller, Xbox, PS4, PS5, whatever it may be, and use that. You can use a mouse and keyboard, so you can connect anything like a traditional PC. But here we are, just a quick test again, using the handheld itself, Steam Deck, as a controller hooked up to a monitor. All right, so with that, let's wrap up by talking about my initial thoughts thus far on the Steam Deck. Obviously, I'm going to have a full review in the weeks to come after I've spent much more time with this, sunk a lot of different hours of random games into this, and just have a better overall consensus of what this device is and how it fits into my life and I say workflow, but it's not a workflow, more so my lifestyle, I guess. But with that, just initial onset thoughts. I thought I wasn't going to like this design and the build quality of it. I thought it was going to feel too cheap, too plasticky. And I say that because I wasn't a big fan of the Steam controller. I think this was ahead of its time for what it was, but I just was not a fan of the kind of creakiness and the plastic, build overall and quality. And if you look at something like this, it's quite literally the inspiration to what this became, except expanded with a PC and a screen. But that said, the ergonomics here, it all felt natural. I thought the bigger size, the longer size compared to something like a Switch would make it feel weird. I thought too many buttons would make it feel cramped. But no, it feels good in hand. The analog sticks are perfect. They kind of have that perfect placement where my thumbs meet. I thought my palms were right where my thumbs at would touch the touch pads too much, or it would like lean on it. Not the case. Definitely hovers right over it, and no accidental inputs. So far, so good. I think there are a lot of buttons in general on the Steam Deck, and definitely something you need to get used to, or kind of like learn what button translates to what when you're coming from like a traditional mouse and keyboard game as somebody who's traditionally a PC gamer. But that's what I'm looking forward to kind of learning in terms of the curve. Like, as somebody who hunkers down, plays in front of my desk here, plays in front of the big screen in the living room, I want to see how this changes like my idea of portable gaming, because I'm not much of a portable gamer. So is it going to be more of a novelty, or is it going to be something that kind of changes the way and type of games I would play on the go or out and about? We'll see. In terms of performance, the games I did play out of the box worked great, as you would expect, because they were optimized for the deck, or at least what they call great on the deck, as I noted earlier. So we'll have to see how other games perform. That said, I will say the software side of things, definitely a couple bugs out the box pre-update. Before I did a software update, I will say a lot of them kind of resolve themselves. But initially at the box, random things like the game's not launching, random things just kind of crashing or just not opening like they should, errors, or things like, this instance where just ghost input in Hades here, where my character was just spamming the hit button despite me not doing anything. So random things like this, random little quirks, I think are a testament to, one, being an early adopter of a first generation product like this, and also one of the pros and cons, or the double-edged sword of like something like this, which I would consider more of a sandbox environment where you can kind of build your own, do what you want with the hardware, try different things out, where something like this is more walled garden, and you have like the kind of trade-offs, right? And I think one of that is stability. And I think it's only going to get better with time, with the updates and feedback and communities and patches. But it is definitely noticeable it's a Gen 1 product, at least from the software experience, for me anyways, out of the box. Nonetheless, I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited to the paces in which I can push it. And with that, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Leave your questions in the comments below. What do you want me to do with this? What games do you want me to test? What OSs or random things you want me to try on the Steam Deck, drop it in the comments below, and I'll do my best in the upcoming content to address those in the videos I have upcoming. So subscribe to make sure you don't miss those. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.